There are moments in life when silence speaks louder than words. You glance at the clock and see it again, 11:11. At first it feels like coincidence. Then it keeps happening. Morning, night, unexpectedly, as if something or someone is trying to get your attention without ever saying a word. It's subtle, mysterious, and yet strangely intimate. Florence Scovel believed these were not accidents, but divine alignments. She spoke often about the language of the invisible. To her, life wasn't random. It was symbolic, and numbers, like words, carried power, especially recurring ones. In the quiet pattern of 11:11, she saw not superstition, but a spiritual nudge. A knock on the door of your consciousness, a coded invitation. The question isn't why you're seeing it. The real mystery is what you're being called to remember. This number, seen through the lens of Florence's teachings, is more than visual repetition. It's the echo of intention, a reflection of the inner world nudging the outer. It's the universe mirroring your readiness, a reminder that your thoughts are active, your words are seeds, and your energy is shaping what's coming next. Florence always emphasized the subtle ways the divine communicates, not through thunder or lightning, but through patterns, symbols, feelings, and yes, sometimes even numbers. She called it the law of expectancy. What you expect, you attract. And when 11:11 shows up, it's often a signal that you're aligning, and consciously or unconsciously, with something greater than logic. So when 11:11 appears, it's not asking for fear or obsession. It's inviting awareness. It's a gentle call. Pause, feel, listen. Something is opening, not around you, but within. Long before words like manifestation or vibration became popular, Florence Scovel Shinn was already writing about them with clarity and conviction. To her, life wasn't chaos. It was governed by silent laws, unseen but exact. She called life a game, but one played by spiritual rules, and those who learned these rules, she believed, could master their reality. Florence didn't just speak of hope. She spoke of power. The kind of power that comes from knowing your thoughts are commands. Your words, spells. Your feelings, frequencies that send out signals and attract their match. Prosperity wasn't something you chased. It was something you tuned into. And 11:11, through this lens, wasn't a symbol of wishful thinking, but a code in the system, a reminder of alignment, a pulse in the matrix of your reality. She taught that the law of attraction and the law of vibration were not vague theories, but sacred mechanics. Everything begins in the unseen. Every dollar, every opportunity, every healing starts first as an idea, as a belief, as a vibration. And if you speak lack, you feed lack. But if you speak truth, power, and abundance, you awaken these forces into form. Florence often used affirmations as tools, not as empty words, but as vibrational scripts. She wrote, "Your word is your wand," meaning what you declare with faith becomes law. This connects directly with 11:11 as a gateway. A moment in time where the energy is fertile, open and ready to receive your intention. Not because of magic, but because your attention, when focused with belief, bends reality. To follow her teachings is to stop waiting for life to happen and begin commanding it through inner alignment. She wasn't interested in superstition. She was teaching the original technology of the soul, conscious creation through thought, word, and energy. If you could measure prosperity, not by what's in your bank account, but by what you radiate, how rich would you be right now? Florence Scovel understood that vibration isn't just energy. It's a kind of currency, one that operates invisibly, but determines what you're able to receive. And whether you know it or not, you're broadcasting all the time. She taught that the outer world is nothing more than a mirror, a reflection of the frequency you hold within. When you feel fear, worry, or doubt, those emotions aren't just mental noise. They are energetic codes, signals, and the universe, neutral and responsive, mirrors them back in the form of blocked paths, delayed outcomes, and missed opportunities. But shift your vibration, truly shift it, and everything begins to respond differently. Florence spoke often about feeling the end result, not waiting to see abundance to feel secure, but feeling secure to attract abundance. This is where the law of vibration becomes more than theory. It becomes a daily discipline. A decision to choose thoughts, words, and emotions that match the reality you want, even before you see it. The most magnetic people are not the ones who hustle the hardest. They're the ones who align their inner world so precisely that life has no choice but to respond. Florence made it clear, You don't chase, you attract by being a vibrational match to what you desire. This is why 1111 matters. It's a symbolic checkpoint, a vibrational mirror asking, what are you sending out right now? Your vibration speaks louder than your actions. You can say you want prosperity, but if your energy says, I don't believe it's possible, that's the message that gets answered. Prosperity isn't just something you pursue. It's a frequency you choose, moment by moment, from the inside out. Most people look at 1111 and make a wish. Florence Scovel would go further. She'd tell you to make a decision, not because 1111 is magical in itself, but because you are when you understand how to direct your energy. This number isn't just a sign from the universe. It's a switch, a brief moment where intention meets awareness, and that collision creates momentum. In the invisible realm, everything is governed by resonance. When you see 1111, it's as if the universe holds up a mirror and whispers, right now your vibration is listening. Speak clearly. Florence believed that such moments are sacred intersections, where your conscious thought meets divine timing. A doorway opens. Not outside of you, but within you. And the way you step through it is with clarity and command. She taught that the subconscious mind responds to symbols, repetition, and belief. So when your eyes catch 1111, it becomes a powerful point of contact. But only if you use it, not to wish, but to declare, to speak prosperity, peace, health, and truth into your field. Because at that moment, you are in rhythm with a greater current. And when the current is aligned, creation accelerates. Florence wouldn't waste a moment like that. She'd teach you to plant a word to an affirmation into the soil of that frequency. Something like, there is no lack in divine mind, therefore there can be no lack in me. These aren't just pretty words. They're vibrational commands, loaded with intention that begin to restructure the energy around you. So the next time 1111 appears, don't see it as a cosmic wink. See it as a window, a switch. A moment of raw creative power, disguised as coincidence. Use it to remind yourself, what I affirm now has weight. What I feel now is being heard. And the reality I'm calling in is already on its way. You can't attract prosperity while thinking like a beggar. Florence Scovel was unapologetically clear about this. Your outer world bends to your inner dialogue. And if that dialogue is full of fear, doubt, or scarcity, it doesn't matter how much you wish. You'll keep creating more of what you fear. This is why mental discipline isn't optional. It's the foundation. Florence taught that the mind is like a garden. Left unattended, weeds grow. Weeds of insecurity, worry, limitation. But when you consciously plant new beliefs and guard them with faith, that garden becomes fertile ground for prosperity. The practice begins with observation, catching yourself in thoughts that contradict abundance and replacing them with words of power. Not once, not twice, relentlessly. She emphasized the necessity of spiritual declarations, affirmations that weren't meant to hope something would happen, but to command reality from a higher law. She'd say, I cast this burden on the Christ within and I go free. Or, I have a perfect work in a perfect way. These weren't just poetic lines, they were precise instruments, crafted to cancel out fear and anchor a new vibration. And it's not just about words, it's about emotional energy. Saying I am prosperous while feeling anxious won't shift anything. But Florence knew how to train the emotional body to align with truth. She taught visualization, repetition, and above all faith that does not flinch. Faith that walks in confidence long before there's physical proof. 11, in this context, becomes a check-in point. A moment to audit your thoughts. Are you thinking from fear or from power? Are you speaking the truth of divine supply, or repeating old patterns of lack? Every time the numbers appear, it's an invitation to return. To your center, your command, your clarity. Most people want to see the proof before they believe. But Florence Scovel reversed that equation. She taught that you must believe first, fully, deeply, unshakably, and only then will the physical respond. Reality to her was always a delayed mirror of vibration. So if you want to change what's coming, you must change what you radiate now. Basius 11 appears like a divine whisper, but what you do with it is a human choice. Will you pause and return to lack, or will you take that moment as a sacred cue to embody the life you say you want? The gateway to prosperity doesn't open when the money comes. It opens the moment you act, feel, and speak as if it's already here, not in fantasy but in frequency. Florence called this living from the end, not pretending, not faking, but walking, talking, and creating from a state of knowing that divine supply is already unfolding, even if you can't yet see it with your eyes. And the more you stay loyal to that internal state, the more life begins to match it. So when 11:11 glows on your screen or clock, see it for what it is, not a random moment, but a call to remember. Remember that you are the vessel. That prosperity is not a destination. It's a vibration, that the universe responds not to your words alone, but to the tone behind them. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Keep living in alignment. Keep affirming with clarity. Keep vibrating from truth, not fear. And above all, trust the process, because what's yours when called from the soul cannot be denied.